Hey folks, it's Finn. Hope everyone's having a good week. This week I want to talk a little bit about dysphoria. I get loads and loads of questions about dysphoria, mainly to do with coping with dysphoria. But I got a really interesting one this week from an anonymous on Tumblr, asking that because now being pretty much done transition-wise, whether I experience no dysphoria. So I thought in this vlog today I would talk about my own experience with where I currently am dysphoria-wise, and then do a vlog in one of the upcoming Sunday shout-out Q&As specifically about dealing with dysphoria. So where am I dysphoria-wise now? Well, in terms of my physical self, my body, I would say I'm pretty much dysphoria-free. The biggest thing for me in terms of top surgery was being able to get up without vomiting because it was that bad. Towards the end it was vomit inducing. Waking up and seeing these extra bits of flesh just felt hell. You know, having to wash, bath, I couldn't get away from them. Even when binding, I knew they were there, I could feel them. I never felt that it looked right in a binder, and then I had to take them off and see them again. It was just hell on earth. And so now, you know, just to have that chest that I knew was there, like I've shared before, it wasn't that things were taken away, it was like something was revealed, and so there's the chest that's been hidden all these years. And now, you know, I love going outside, sitting on the beach with my top off, being able to go to a festival and take my top off. It's just so much easier. I'm so outdoorsy, and things like camping and walking was just a nightmare in a binder, and so now it's just opened up the world into what I can do comfortably. Lower surgeries also opened up the world far more than I actually realised it would, to be honest. As I've shared before, my lower dysphoria was much more subtle, and I realised now that that's because I was so scared of the surgery, I was kind of subconsciously shoving it down. And I know this because of the relief I feel post-surgery. I didn't know it was possible to be this comfortable in my body. Top surgery was one thing, incredibly comfortable, but to have the whole thing matching up now is just wonderful. I mean, even after stage 1 where it was just there, and of course I couldn't use it to pee or anything, the amazingness of just like throwing over covers and just seeing my complete self, male, was just incredible. And now that I can actually stand to pee, that is just amazing how much that's freed up my life. I spent so much of my time with anxiety around using the toilet. Even though I use the stand to pee device, you know, they're not 100% effective. It still makes you anxious. You know, there's so much rigmarole in keeping yourself clean around it and cleaning it. Awful. And now, you know, I can go anywhere without first thinking, oh my god, what the toilet's going to be like. Are there going to be cubicles? If there are cubicles, are there going to be locks on them? What if there's a queue? Oh, all of this stress-inducing stuff is amazing to suddenly be without. It's just incredible. And I was thinking about this the other day, the fact that I don't have to have any gadgets with me anymore. Beforehand it was a binder and a packer and some cleaning products and all of that. And now I don't have to have anything external to be me. I am just me in my body, and that feels wonderful. One of the main things that shows me that I'm dysphoria free now is that even though my body isn't perfect, you know, I've got the 42-year-old belly overhang, I've got scars, I'm just aging, all of that. Even with that, I love my body. Now, before, as a female presentation, very slim, I hated that body, hence all the eating disorders. And I think now that because my body represents me, I can deal with all the other imperfections. When I'm happy in my body, all imperfections were kind of magnified, if this makes sense. So that now my body is really representing me and my maleness. I'm not bothered about being a little bit overweight or a little bit flabby or a little bit excess here and there and whatever, you know, because it's my male body and it's fine. You know, does that make sense? I say almost dysphoria free lower surgery because of course I'm single, and I think that this is a side of things I haven't explored yet. And when it comes to dating somebody, that's going to be quite interesting because I'm waiting for stage 3. And I think at the moment, if I was trying to get in a relationship, I would feel hugely dysphoric about the fact that I can't get an erection. So I wouldn't even go there before having the surgery anyway. But after the surgery, I'm obviously going to start dating and sex will happen. And so that realm I know nothing about yet. And that's to be discovered. So I will update on that. But otherwise, physically wise, yes, I am pretty much dysphoria free. However, where I do still feel dysphoria is in the social side of things. Now, I've shared before how I sometimes experience these female days where for some reason I just feel like I look female. And yes, every time I say this out loud I laugh because I know it's ridiculous. I know it's not true. But it's like the inside of me will suddenly feel female. Some little things might trigger it. I might answer something in a slightly higher voice or make some kind of hand gestures. And it's almost like it triggers this feeling of being female. I was speaking to somebody about this and they described gender dysphoria as a kind of post-traumatic stress disorder. And you know what? This makes sense, especially when I notice what triggers it. All of that distress that was felt by being in a female body and a female presentation, having people respond to me as female, very distressing. And so when little events happen that trigger memories from that, I then feel dysphoric. And so I can get what this person means actually about that. And I think this is what's going on. I think it's a lot to do with brain rewiring. Our brains have to process a lot. And so to make shortcuts, it will kind of store stock images and reactions and what have you. And so my body's had a stock image of what I look like for like 36 years before I transitioned. And it's not had time to catch up. So sometimes it's almost like my brain is telling me I look female because it's this old image of itself. And actually, I don't, of course, but I think the brain still needs to catch up. It's also a lot to do with the fact that guys grow up with other guys, watching other guys, copying other guys. They have this long time of puberty and growing up into their manhood, whereas we're kind of like catapulted forwards. And at our age, no one's expecting us to kind of like copy them and ask them questions about what it is to be a man. So we're kind of flailing in the dark, really. So this is a lot of it. Having been socialised as female for a long time, it's quite anxiety provoking trying to be in a male world and know how to act. And I think I overthink it sometimes and think, am I being male enough in how I'm acting? Like last night I shared this, that I was going out to a curry night with some new friends I've met up here, and how anxious I was. Well, it's common. I do get anxious when it comes to new events and new people, and I'm not over keen on eating in front of people. It's taken me a long time to get to a point where I can. And I was quite anxious about it last night, but I always go, as I also shared recently, feel the fear and do it anyway. But I was aware that the whole night I'm kind of looking at other guys interacting and thinking, I don't think I'm interacting like they do. And just trying to breathe and ignore those thoughts and just be me. But it is hard. I can feel like a fish out of water when I'm with just men, because I feel I haven't learned how to be in that space. So that's where the dysphoria kind of comes up. But here's another however, okay? The symptoms of dysphoria are anxiety and depression. So what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? Is this anxiety to do with my social anxiety, or is it to do with my dysphoria? Are they one and the same? When I realised I was trans, I kind of understood this feeling I was having. I understood where my anxiety and depression came from. Because people weren't seeing the real me, of course it was making me depressed and anxious. And being diagnosed with a personality disorder makes sense, because as a bloke in a body that everyone thought was female, my personality didn't get to form properly. So this is what I'm saying. My question now is, these things I struggle with still in daily life in terms of especially social anxiety, is that just from years of not learning to socialise, or is it specifically gender related? I don't know if this is making any sense. what I'm saying is, it's really hard to answer the question about does it feel dysphoria, because I think some of these things that I'm experiencing and talking about now are not just to do with gender, they're also to do with just getting over years of being anxious and not being great at socialising. It's been a bit of a waffle to answer that question. Am I dysphoria free? Mostly. I think my gender dysphoria is tied in with some of my mental health stuff that I'm still getting over. The two are intertwined, you can't separate them, but on the whole, I feel so much better. Looking at it in terms of the definition of gender dysphoria, which is a person who feels a mismatch between their biological sex and their gender identity. Well, in terms of that definition, it's gone. I no longer feel a mismatch at all. I feel completely at home. My body represents me. I've had all the right intervention that I need to feel comfortable in my body. It's different for all of us, don't forget. We don't all have surgery. We all get to a place in which we find a match between our internal felt gender and how we express and present. And I'm at a place where, yes, that matches for me. People respond to me as I feel feels right for my gender. But in terms of the symptoms of gender dysphoria, which are depression, anxiety, what have you, I think there's still some work to be done. But as I said, I think those are just very, very intertwined. So it's hard to say. Well, I do hope that made sense. I feel like my updates on a Thursday are usually a bit of a waffle, but actually it's been really good for me to reflect on where I am with this. And I think a lot of it is to do with my still evolving identity, especially in being a newly single man. And actually this is what next week's Thursday upload is going to be about. I want to revisit some of the vlogs I've done about identity and talk about where I am with that, because this is something that really interests me in terms of transition and what happens to our identity. Thank you for watching, everybody. Please do leave some comments in the section below and tell me about where you are with your gender dysphoria. Has it gone for you? What are your thoughts on this? It'd be lovely to hear from you. If you like my vlogs and want to keep up to date, then please do hit the subscribe button. If you'd like more updates in between vlog updates, then please do pop over to any of my other social media links, join the Finn fam for extra videos, pictures and topic discussions. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Have a lovely weekend and I will see you next week. Bye bye.